At a recent event, we were asked a question: why do some stable marriages fail? And what we could pick from that is, why do the marriages of people who have been married for a long time fail? People who are assumed to have been experienced in the marriage journey, why do their marriages fail? We will be answering that question. We'll be putting forward some solutions at the same time. But I thought there was something we needed to clarify regarding that question. There was an undertone of fear. We could tell. When a lot of single people sit down these days, they look at the marriages around them. And if the people they trust, people they feel, this was how they're holding it down. If such people then start splitting up, they would be left with fear. They would be left scared that they might repeat that event, that repeat such experience. Sometimes we hear people say, "What's the point getting married?" And it's just fear. And we thought we would address that. I'll let you say something.
I think at this point, I just want to throw in something that people need to know that marriage is an institution, and institutions are subject to change.
Yes.
Institutions are subject to attacks. Yes. Institutions are subject to transformation. So, like the educational system, if you don't transform it, right now it's going through different changes from different parts of the world. All right, so it's no longer serving. So it has to, if you don't guide it to transform into what you want, other people that have different agenda will drive that education system and create what they want. So sometimes people get into marriage and they just assume that things will work out. All right, as long as I'm a good guy, as long as I'm a good lady, marriage will work out. No, it's an institution. You need to be deliberate about where you want it to go as an institution. You need to chart a course for it. If you don't chart a course, the other subtle messages around you will direct the course of your marriage. And without knowing, you find yourself where you didn't plan because you never really planned for any other place. So this is just like a caveat, something we like to throw in there to say, it's not like marriages are failing. There are many marriages that are doing well. But there is something you have to do for your marriage to stand the test of time. It's like any organization. There are things they have to do correct. I read a book called Built to Last, and one of the authors, I think it was something Collins, was talking about why some organizations endured. Why did they survive many changes? Why did they survive financial crunch? Why did they survive all these external elements and are still enduring? Why? So same thing applies to marriages as well. You can't just leave it to itself. You have to be deliberate to doing some basic things correctly.
And a message of hope to anyone whose marriage is going through stormy time at this point. It is possible. Your marriage can still bounce back.
Absolutely.
Okay, if you do some of the things we'll be talking about in this video, and just go through our YouTube channel. There are a lot of resources that could help your marriage. Let's do marriage well. Marriage is beautiful. It is beautiful. Hey, welcome to our channel. I am Chidi Akunna.
And I'm always Victor Akunna.
Yes, if you're new to our channel, Foundation for Family Affairs. At Foundation for Family Affairs, we talk about romance, intimacy, and family. And our mission is just to connect hearts, and raise healthy families. It's always our greatest excitement. When we hear that people who were not working things out are on the right path. That gives us a lot of joy. Fantastic. So thank you for joining us. If you're new to this channel, you feel free to hit the subscribe button and the bell next to it so you're notified when we drop our content. So let's get into some of the points. Why do some stable marriages fail? The first point I think I would want to share today is faulty foundation. Foundation just is fundamental. That's what holds the building. So if we start out on a foundation that is not right, then we are setting ourselves up to fail. I'll give an example. You know that sometimes when people enroll on our intimacy builder program, we ask them, this person you're looking at, this person you're considering going into marriage with, does this person have what it takes to create the kind of marriage you have created with us? Because we take them through sessions where they work out their dream marriage. Does the person you're considering have what it takes to create this kind of marriage? And sometimes you hear these people say no. Then the question would be, why do you then want to go into marriage with this person? Sometimes it's just the excitement. Sometimes it's oh well, I have somehow communicated that I will be marrying you. But I do not want to go all the way and then seem like someone who is not a person of, his or her own words. So you hear things like that. And there's something you always say: going in the wrong direction will never get you to the right destination if you are going the wrong way. So why set yourself up to fail from the start? That's something to consider. And then the question too some people will have now is, I have already committed the blunder. I am in a marriage with someone who does not seem to be creating the kind of marriage experience I want. So what do I do?
Okay, you've asked me the difficult part of the question. All right, so the beautiful thing about it is, like we said at the beginning, marriage is an institution. All right, so for an institution to run correctly, you have to have square pegs in square holes. All right, so that's the foundation. Right. Sometimes organizations get it wrong. They hire the wrong person who looks nice based on their CV, what they have been. They talk so nice, but they come into the organization. They can't collaborate with anybody. They are quarreling with everybody. Everybody hates them. Nobody likes them. Hey, so the organization at that point know that they've hired wrongly. So now the question is, how do you get them out of the system? That's way difficult. Bringing someone in is easier than taking people out. Very difficult. So in a situation whereby you find yourself that you've already committed to the wrong person, first of all, we can't sit here and tell you that you've married the wrong person. Yes, so we the only way you can do that is to have a session with both of you to be able to know whether because sometimes people think they're married to the wrong people. Yes. But actually that's not the issue. The issue is that they don't have the skill set to deal with the issues coming up in their marriage. They are two separate things. So sometimes if you're constantly having conflict with someone, it doesn't mean that you're married to the wrong person. Because sometimes some philosophies that have been thrown out there is that if there is a conflict in a relationship, it means that you've made the wrong choice. No, you have conflict with your siblings. It doesn't mean that you have the wrong sibling. Conflict is sometimes a function of different perspective on the same issue. Different perspective, not right and wrong perspective. We mean different. Yes. And difference is good. It's good. It's about diversity. Now, the challenge is managing diversity. It needs a certain level of skill sets because we come with our own preconceived ideas of how the world works. We come with our own biases of how the world should work. And so, what we're trying to do is to project our own view of the world on that particular issue. And then there is an explosion. And so you think, no. So the concept here might not be that you're married to the wrong person. It may just be that you don't have the skill set for dealing with the issues that is peculiar to your own relationship. Some of those issues are general issues that everybody experiences. And some are peculiar to you because there are no two marriages that are exactly the same. Because there are no two individuals that are exactly the same. In other words, what you have, the experiences you have in your marriage is a function of the two individuals that you have in that marriage. So what you have to do now, this is our own issue. This is what we're experiencing. How can we navigate this? What do we need to do? Do we need to outsource this? Do we need a counselor? Do you need a coach? Do you need an external help? Do you need to read a book together? That's why couples who prepare and who ask a lot of questions, who interact with each other. What exactly do you want to build? What does a good marriage look like? Those kind of couples, they do much better. Why? Yes. Because they are not assuming that their own point of view is what their partner wants. My definition of marriage may be different from her definition because we are raised in two separate families, two separate parts of the country, two separate cultures. A lot of dynamic that went into raising me. A lot of dynamic went into raising her. So now for me to come into this relationship and just assume that, oh, my wife will just see my point of view as the official one. No, it's not going to work. So where we have different of opinion is where we have conflict in our own relationship. And so the question now is, I have this perspective. For example, we have different perspectives of managing conflict. And so that's the way I like, when I say conflict, I like to say it. My wife will, you know what? She will wait. If it's not important, she will just, and it works for her. You know, but that approach doesn't work for me because it makes me stir up and stir up and stir up. But that doesn't happen to her. She doesn't stir up. So now what we are working through is how do we find the middle point of how to manage conflicts. And we also found out that managing conflicts, every situation is different because every issue is different. So we are also learning our own relationship as well. But when it comes to money, we have very similar things in terms of managing money. We have similar philosophy. When it comes to parenting, we have very similar parenting. But, you know, so what we're trying to say is that the uniqueness...
Let's put it in perspective. Yes. Because when you say, you like to say, and I don't like... when it's something that has to do with you, I say it. I'm comfortable. Yeah. Because there's that safe space for me to say it. But when it's third parties or other people, I just don't want to stress. Third party. Yes, I just don't want to stress about. You know, how do you present it? Okay, is it something I can let go? Just let it go.
Yeah. So that's just what we're talking about. We're trying to be more like, you know, as authentic as we are. So, so you guys. So the question she asked me, which was, if you find yourself in a relationship you think you're married to the wrong partner. So I'm going for the point of view of, we can't say much around that because we need to have a chat, because we've had chat with couples who enroll for our intimacy builder program for married couples. They were going in that direction that I think I married the wrong guy. I think I married the wrong lady. And by the time we found out that because of how this particular couple that is coming to my mind, we found out that because of how they were raised, they were not equipped with the tools of managing some certain situations. And so their best effort was creating more chaos and digging bigger holes until they enrolled on our program and their relationship transformed. Not because we did anything different. It's just because we equipped them with the tools that they needed. All right. So you're asking someone to do something, but you're not equipping that person with it. The person is going to fail before they start. So many people are failing before they start marriage because they're not equipped with the tool. If you're raised in a dysfunctional family, you will not be equipped with a tool for a healthy family. It's not possible. It's not about you being a nice person. No, it's about skill set.
That's why we recommend that they go for classes before marriage.
Absolutely.
It's really important.
Absolutely.
Really important.
Absolutely.
You know, and if you're still single, then you need to be looking before you leap. Okay, because the truth too is that there are people who have varying values. They are not on the same tangent, and they get married. So in a case like that, you're stuck with someone who does not agree with you on most things. It's usually a problem. It is difficult, but then we try not to be too prescriptive when we talk in our videos, because we don't just want people taking what we're saying and running off with them. So if you want, you can book a free session with us. We'll put the link in the description box, and we're happy to talk with you. It's possible that after a talk with us, you will realize that there are some adjustments you even need to make.
Absolutely.
And your marriage will be fine.
Absolutely.
Yes. Okay, so the next point we have, because I like that you talked about tools, skill sets, right? So the next point we have is on communication issues. That's another reason why some stable marriages fail. Both parties do not, or one or both parties do not know how to communicate. When we say communication, I mean, if you look at, we'll put something up for you, intimate communication. You know, we talked about the behaviors of bad communicators. There are people who are just bad communicators, and they don't realize. You think because we are in love, we are in a love relationship, then it's okay, I can do it the way I want. You know, that you're comfortable with your spouse does not mean that you drop all your skills. You still bring them in.
Wow, that's good.
You know, sometimes we're more conscious of these skills when we're in the workplace, or when we're dealing with other parties. You're going for a business deal. You know, you bring on your A game. But then with your spouse, you just think, it's us, so you drop it. No, it's just as important. You know, the whole pause before you speak, you know, when you're upset, you don't just lash out. That's really important. You know, drawing up your boundary lines, saying, okay, when you're upset, you don't storm out. Yes, we're marrying communication and conflict. We're marrying that as we speak, so we can deal with that as one point. You know, so when you're upset, no matter how upset, you don't raise your voice. There's a training, Because the funny thing is, sometimes we do this to our children, but we are not stepping up to do it ourselves as individuals. What gives you the right to tell your child, you don't shout when you're upset, no matter what? But then the child hears you shout at that. It's unacceptable. That's why sometimes the corrections don't go in.
Absolutely.
We're complaining. So we need to call ourselves to a higher standard where we keep getting better. In a class we handled last night, I think somebody was talking about the whole communication thing.
Correct.
And then it's like I like the point you raised about timing is of the essence. There are times where you need to call out time, just pull back, okay, and be in that state, because this other person was complaining. You just let go, and it's a bit too much for me. So maybe the way to do it is, you might feel when you start, but it's about being conscious of it. You start it, you try to build it as a habit. So because it's not been a part of you, you will feel sometimes, but then you carry on, you keep at it, and you will get there.
Communication is so critical. If you get communication right, you get finances right, you get parenting right, you get conflict management, you get sex right. So communication is so critical. So to have a situation in your marriage that your partner, your spouse doesn't feel like they can really say what they really feel, it's not a good state. So it's not a good place to be. That the only place in this world that you can really be yourself, you can't even say what you want to say. You feel like if you really say it, your partner may misunderstand it, your partner may draw it out of context, your partner will shame you, your partner will criticize you, your partner will not accept your perspective. And I think it's coming back to how we were taught. Most of us were taught that anytime someone disagrees with us, it means something is wrong with us. Anytime somebody disagrees with us, it means something is wrong with us. So we worship being right. We worship being our point being taken. We worship. That's why some people feel angry when they advise people and people don't take them. They don't have to. It's an advice. It's not an instruction. You are not their bosses. You can, even a boss, in the way I work, my boss can't give me instruction. All right. The best way they can say is that this is how I'm thinking we should do it. This is how the organization wants us to do it. They can't give you an instruction. It's not a master-servant relationship. So if you don't have a master-servant relationship with someone, the best you can do is suggestion and advice. And they have the free will. Even God can advise. God is only advising. He can't even give instructions. All right. So that's why you have to be in that state where he's telling you that, you know what, I've put before you.
He can't impose it.
He can't impose it. Thank you. That's what I was looking for. He will tell you, I'm put before you life and death. You decide what you want to choose. Why? Because he's giving you that free will as an individual. So that's very important for us to be able to create that atmosphere where our children can come up to us and share something, where our spouses can come up to us and share something without feeling that they're going to be shamed. If what they are saying is creating some reaction within you, pause and reflect to see, is it what they are saying or what they are saying is creating in me? Because sometimes what they are saying maybe there's the interpretation you are giving what they are saying that may be creating that effect in you. So someone is saying that I disagree with your point of view. It doesn't mean I hate you. Because what we hear determines how we react or what we do. That's very, very important, because I've realized that sometimes when people disagree with me, I'm processing in my head, did I not articulate my point? No. People have the right to actually disagree with you. It's their own volition. All right, so that's absolutely fine.
So we need to take some of this on board. Why do some stable marriages fail?
Yes.
So let's not get to that point where we're too comfortable. We think we have our communication sorted. Onward journey. Okay, and I think this just leads us to the next point, which is growing apart. Right? When people don't communicate right, when conflict is not properly resolved, they tend to grow apart. Why? People tend to keep away from places that are cantankerous, environments where they don't flourish. If your communication style keeps pulling down your spouse will want to pull back, and at that point you will be emotionally disconnected. Once you start getting to that point where there's no connection between you, it's a problem.
Growing apart, it's It's not something that happens. That's why we use the word growing. It's a process.
Yes.
So, and that process comes when people take things for granted, where you just feel like, you know what, I mean, this person is my sister. I don't have to apologize. And just family often do that. And people that have familiar, familiar. People that are familiar with you, they just do things, they expect you to be okay with it and just keep rolling, So, and that's what happens when a relationship is stable. You people don't have quarrel like before, you're just going, so you do something your spouse doesn't like. You just carry on. She doesn't complain. You just carry on. No. You have to pause and ensure that, are you okay? And sometimes people grow and their spouses are not growing. So one person is advancing themselves in their career, meeting new people, expanding, traveling. I've heard couples that will just say, you know what, the wife just went and just traveled and just and then the guy is with the children. And I'm thinking, I don't think I'm not judging them, but I don't think it's right? Because traveling exposes the mind. And then one person is just traveling.
That's why one thinks it's okay to travel, and the other one thinks, I don't like traveling, so I will never travel.
Yeah, that's even a different point. But this particular situation, what I'm saying is, this person thinks that they don't have that money to make that trip, but the spouse is just making the trip. You know what? I just need my mental health. I just need to that's fine. But why not pause a little bit, save up, and travel as a family? So one person is traveling, exposing themselves, and the other person is just stuck with the family, looking after the kids. After a while, you're going to begin to notice it may not be mental difference, it may just be emotional. One person feels more rested, the other person is always stressed.
Yes.
And when someone is constantly being stressed, what happens? That is when people begin to cave into habits just to sustain that excitement. That's why you see some men enter pornography, they begin to cheat, they begin to do things that naturally, if they were in a healthy emotional state, they wouldn't cross those lines. But because they are looking for coping mechanisms, in the name of looking for coping mechanisms, they enter something that is just like a quick fix, a quick fix. Some people they start binge eating. Oh, let me just taste it. Let me just sugar rush. And then before you know what's happening, they're growing out of sight. So very, very important for you to not to just wait. If, be intentional about how both of you are growing, ask yourself, are you okay? What's happening? Find out what's happening in their lives. Find out what's happening on their jobs. Get involved. Be interested in their well-being. Not just in what you can get from them. Be interested in your partner's well-being, their mental health. They did something, they applied for a job, they didn't get it. It had an impact. Find out what happened. Your partner used to be very aggressive, not aggressive, ambitious, driven. All of a sudden, they're just taking life too chilled. Find out what happened. Don't just say, oh, maybe it's just because it's clause 15. No. Ask them, are you okay? What's happening? Very, very important for you to do this. All right.
Okay. All right. So the next point we have is financial issues. Obviously. I say obviously with care, with caution though. Right. I think we would share a video we did on, just look for it up there. Why couples fight about money.
Yes, I think that was it. Yes.
Yeah, so why they fight about money. So you realize that there are a lot of things that come to play. Our personalities, our backgrounds, our exposures, like you're saying, So different perspectives of money. But we need to get to that point where we start marrying our perspectives, where we align, where we draw up a common vision, financial vision for the family, and put it before us. So this is like a guide for the family. So even if one person is a spender, the other is a saver, because of that vision constraints. So it keeps us focused. We have something that is like our true north, guiding us. So we know that whatever happens, we will make room for some flexibilities, but that vision must be accomplished. Really important. Do you have a financial vision for your family? You could draw up one together.
If you don't have a vision, it means people will behave the way they like. People will do things based on the scripting that they already had before they came into the marriage. By scripting, I mean their worldview, their belief system. So if someone believes that money is to enjoy life, it doesn't matter whether it's my money or somebody else's money. As long as I'm not without money, that's fine. So you loan them money to keep for you, they're going to spend it. And so And what happens is that they bring shame and stuff to the family, because if they are talking about your husband, that your husband borrowed 5K, 10K, and they're not paying, one way or the other is rubbing off on you. You are the wife of the man who is owing. You are connected.
You're one.
You know, you're one now.
Yes.
All right. So financial issues are not properly dealt with. Seriously, they can impact a marriage that people are stable. So you see couples who, in a social by, the wife is hiding her card. You know, this person is hiding, they're stocking money somewhere. And it's because of when someone is financially irresponsible, it impacts a family. I've seen people who, there was a lady that went to go and loan money to try to invest in a business that went really bad. The husband was livid. It's rocked the foundation of the marriage. Honestly, some marriages don't survive that.
Yes, true that. All right, so the next point we have, we're talking about why some stable marriages fail. So you need to consider your own marriage as well. You may need to make some assessments. Where are we as a family, though stable? Where are we defaulting? So we can just bring it up to, balance. All right, so the next point we have is infidelity. And for this one, sometimes some people don't just, unless they are intrinsically polluted. A lot of people would not just want to dabble into infidelity. Infidelity causes a lot of pain. It was a judge who sat in court and heard a woman's testimony, and he was so upset, and he said he wished he could enforce that infidelity be considered a criminal act. Because yes, some spouses do suffer the impact of it. Some lose their mental health. It's really sad. But then this thing starts very little. It could start with just a conversation, and then it starts going deep. And you get the alert, you get the warning signal. You are treading on dangerous ground here. If you don't stop, if you don't catch yourself, if you don't speak to your spouse about it, it will continue to brew. Sin thrives in secrecy. You keep hiding it, it gets bigger. You need to blow it up. Just say it. And that's why we appreciate spouses who have such an open culture in their marriage that they can talk about, when they even have feelings for somebody. It helps you. It helps keep you on track. So when you carry on those lines and then you start hiding too many things, you then get into the actual thing. Let's catch ourselves. Some people dabble into it through pornography. They just go into it, and then they get to that point where they wake up to the fact that my spouse cannot do it the way the people I watch do it. And so they want to try. You'll be amazed, because sometimes people ask questions, how do we get to the point where people start going for prostitutes? But it's just things like this. We need to be very careful.
And some people will say, well, I don't have this issue in my marriage. Sometimes people may not be cheating with another human being. They may be cheating with their job. But in other words, they're giving all the time, all the attention to a job or to something else at the expense of their marriage. You are being unfaithful in that way. Sometimes it's an emotional thing. The person may be living far away, you people don't see each other, but there's that emotional connection. That devotion you're supposed to have for your spouse, you're channeling it towards somebody else, something else. That is also count for infidelity. We're trying to expand the umbrella, because this emotional infidelity is also as damaging as physical or sexual infidelity.
Yes.
If you are married to a spouse who has time for every other body, every other person, every other thing, but you're going to feel that same impact. All right, it may not be as impactful as sexual, but you're going to feel that impact. Ask any lady, ask any man, where the spouse is always traveling, they're always involved in this, they're always involved in that, or it's always, don't worry, after this I will do this. Ask them how they feel and check, probably take them for it. Maybe that should be a check on this. People's brain should be scanned, and you see the person who experienced sexual infidelity and someone who feel neglected by their spouse, who feel worthless, and see if there is any major difference. And I bet that if there is a difference, that will be much, right? Because the raw emotions are also real. It's like a child that is neglected. You just left the child by themselves. So the best,
Okay, and just because we do not want to share too many points, we'll take the last point, for this video. External influence, external factors. third parties. Oh yes. This could do a lot of damage to a relationship if not properly managed. A third party is good. It depends on who the third party is. Oh yes.
That's a valid point.
Because we want to get to that point where we do not want people imploding on their issues. If you have a problem and it's becoming radioactive, you cannot seem to find a solution to that problem, then get a third party in quickly to help you, an unbiased, neutral third party who would come in and just give you suggestions on what to do. You'll be amazed at the life that the introduction of a third party could bring into your relationship, right? But you need to be careful who that third party is. But when we get to that point where we no longer agree on what who the third party should be, things like that, it could get it could get very messy.
Very important in terms of third party. I like the point you made. It depends on who the third party is. If you're having an issue with your spouse and you are discussing with your sister, you're discussing with your mom, whose side do you expect them to take? So there are very few siblings or family members, extended family members, that will not take this side because there's an emotional connection, and that emotional connection will not help you to be objective on the issue. And that's why they will always say that if you are a counselor and your family member is looking for a counselor, no, ask them to go somewhere else. Why? Because I remember when I was going through my coaching training, they say don't coach your partner, get them to get somebody else to coach them. Because there are some emotional stuff that will just come into and blow.
Few people have that skill.
Very, 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 very few.
But when you have them, you need to appreciate them.
Yes, very few people. So it's always good for you to make sure that you create that boundary around external, who exactly is this external person, and then to what extent. And some people are married, but in their head, they are still connected to their family. So they feel that their partner is an alien. And so they feel that they should have some kind of secret with their, like me now, feeling like I should have some secret with my siblings that my spouse should not know. So in my head, I'm married to her, but I've not disconnected the way I'm supposed to. That's not healthy.
So you've not adopted her as well.
If not, yes. So the way the marriage institution works is this: once you are saying married to somebody, you are entering into what we call a covenant agreement with your partner. It means that she's exclusive. It means that there's nothing that you have in this world that she should not know about, and that's what. So if I'm living, professing love to her, professing marriage to her, and I'm still treating her like someone that, more like an add-on that you add on your, like this add-on or plugin that you add on your computer. No, that's not. She is the whole software, and she should be prioritized that way. And so sometimes some families are stable, but you just notice that, they are creating, they still have some family traditions that is contrary to your relationship. People give you advice about, your wife is this way, make sure you don't disclose this, even though you guys have a stable marriage, but an external influence is giving you toxic suggestions. You are not countering it, but you are listening. One day, you're going to take root. And when you birth something, it might be something that been anti your marriage.
Okay, so we have shared many things. You may have some points you think we need to share. We thought we'd stop now, right? We have many more things to share.
Yes.
But I'm sure with what we've shared, if you just look within, there are some adjustments that you really can make. Let's get to the point where we're truly healthy as in our marriage, between ourselves. If you have not subscribed to our YouTube channel, please hit the subscribe button and the bell next to it so you're notified when we drop our content. You want to say something?
Let's build our marriages together, okay? We are working on us as well. While we're giving you the tools to work on yourselves. Let's all do it together. When a marriage is successful, it impacts the children, it impacts the community, it impacts the world. Let's do it together.
Yes. So see you in the next one.